Tips for more effective phone prospecting for realtors. In this video, I'm going to break down 3 simple tips that if you're actively phone prospecting, is going to help you dial in the results you're seeing and have more effective conversations by far. Especially one of these tips will absolutely be a game changer for you, and perhaps all 3 will make a substantial difference depending on where you're at in the process. If you're actively prospecting now, there's probably something you can do to dial things in further, and that's probably why you're here right now. So with that being said, if you're new to the channel, my name is Tyler Roicki. I help people build income and wealth in real estate, and I run an international real estate team at eXp Realty. If you get any value whatsoever out of this video, all I'd ask is that you like, comment, and hit that subscribe button so that I can continue to share more tips and resources with you in the time ahead. That being said, let's dive into the video. So there's 3 key things that you're going to want to make sure you have dialed in as far as your prospecting efforts. And the first of those 3 things are familiarity. It's important to understand this concept that people are more responsive to what's familiar versus what isn't. And the reason this is the first thing is this is gonna be applicable to the instant someone picks up a phone with you and what it is that you say to them, and ultimately whether they're gonna be open to talking to you more at that point or not. So think about it. How could you make your familiarity level higher with someone you've never spoken with before within the first second of them hearing your voice? Well, one of the ways is your intro to them. So I want you to assess, what is your current introduction like? There's a big difference between if you're introducing yourself as, hey, my name's Tyler with XYZ Realty. People are gonna shut you down right on the spot a lot of times. Because guess what? People don't wanna feel like they just picked up the phone and are talking to a salesperson. So if you want to break that barrier down and have a higher percentage of people that are more receptive to at least staying on the phone with you for a little bit, help by coming across as someone they're familiar with. How could you do that? Well, if you're calling a homeowner and you have their name, say, hey, Matthew, how's everything going? Or something like that. And you don't have to ask how's everything going, but just say, hey, Matthew. Silence. Wait to see what they respond. And a lot of times if you say it, now here's the way to think about it. Think of it like you are talking to a friend. What would you say if you were calling your friend? You'd probably say, hey, what's going on? What's up? Hey, so-and-so, whatever the case is. Now, keep it more professional. Don't say what's up, but come across as someone that they would be familiar with. To a point where if you do this correctly, you're gonna get a lot of people that sound a little confused, like trying to figure out who you are, where they know you from, and they might even straight up ask you, it's like, where do I know you from? But the key is come across as more familiar, because at least at that point, they're trying to figure out who you are now, or they might not even say anything because they're embarrassed and trying not to come off as not remembering who you are or not having saved your number or whatever. So just go with it, but that's going to help to increase the amount of times you actually have a conversation with people. Also, another thing that's familiar with people is location. A way that this can come into play is if you're the neighborhood realtor. So say you're calling or prospecting your own neighborhood, you actually live there. Leverage that by emphasizing that you're not just your typical realtor, but you're actually their neighbor. And that can actually break down the barrier for a lot of people if you're very close in proximity. That also, any listings that you have. If you have a listing, it's very powerful because no longer are you some random realtor, you actually have a house available for sale in the same area. And that can go a long way if you articulate that correctly in the conversation, because it gives you credibility in a way that you otherwise wouldn't have. So leverage any credibility you have, leverage any familiarity you have as far as someone that they might already know, or even location-wise whenever it's applicable. The second thing that is going to go a tremendous distance with all of your conversations is your confidence. And this is something where most realtors that I hear prospecting, especially those who haven't been in the business a long time, this is the #1 area that they can actually build upon and improve upon. And this is gonna go a lot further than even the words. It's like a lot of people don't have their words and dialogues dialed in, but if you lack confidence, people aren't even gonna wanna move with you even if they needed your help. So you've got to have a high level of confidence, and it's how you carry yourself, and it's your tonality in the conversation, because your confidence is going to instill confidence in the person who you're speaking with. And in these conversations, the more certain person always influences the one who is less certain. So between you and this person you're talking with, you can't sound less confident than they do. You can't be less certain, because if you are, there's no way that you're going to take that conversation in a way that, even if that person was ready to sell now, they're not going to want to do anything with you, because you don't even sound like you believe in what it is that you bring to the table, or that they need to do X, Y, and Z as far as what the next step is in the process. So it's up to you as the professional to lead people in the direction that they need to go if they're ready to do that thing. And they're only gonna go in that direction with you if you sound confident and sound like you really believe in what needs to happen next in the process. And if you're more certain than they are that that doesn't need to happen, they're gonna follow your lead and go in that direction with it. So every conversation, every time you pick up the phone, even if you're nervous, sweating bullets, have confidence in that instance that they answer, and sound like you actually believe what it is you're saying, and that you actually care about what it is. And guess what? The best way to sound like you do is, holy cow, it's actually to care. It's actually to come into that conversation with a genuine intent and genuine heart that, you're here to help, you're here to serve, you're not here to harm. And for anyone that doesn't take this cold conversation the right way, you're not here for everybody. So you're not obligated to stay on the phone if someone's being rude, if they're being disrespectful. You're not here for everybody, and that's okay. It's gonna happen from time to time, and you just gotta keep moving and moving and moving, and don't worry about the ones that don't respond in a positive way. Some people will be having a bad day. You'll come across them. They might take it out on you. You move on. And that brings me to the third thing that's going to help you massively with navigating these conversations, if you're not already doing that, which is questions. If you're not already doing this, asking powerful questions is the simplest way that you can have an effective conversation that takes the pressure off yourself and allows you to take the conversation in the direction in which you would like it to go. A lot of times people in this business, especially as they start phone prospecting, they worry so much about the script, the dialogue. They want to have something for every possible situation out there. And it's crazy, because you're consuming your mind with all these words to say, but I guarantee you what you are not getting down in the best possible way that you could is how to navigate the conversation by asking questions that are relevant to what it is the person's telling you. And you're not going to have relevant questions if you're not actively listening to what it is they're telling you. So you've got to stop cluttering your mind with having the perfect script and dialogue for every instance, and instead actually listen to what that person's telling you more. Really think and consider, it's like, what could you bring to the table that could help them based on what you're hearing that they actually need, based on what feedback they're actually giving you. And so you got to stop focusing more on what you're going to say next, and start focusing more on what feedback they're actually giving you and actually listening to it. But ask powerful questions. Have a set of questions that you ask, navigate the conversation the way you want to go. Less of a script, but more so knowing it's like, hey, based on somebody being in a situation where they have to do some things before they're ready, it's like, well, what could you ask them to actually figure out more about what their want is, what their need is, and ultimately what their timeline is to get to where they want to go and why they want to get there. And the more you can gather on that, it's like, they might have a problem going on that maybe there's a solution they're not aware of to it, but it's only going to come out if you ask the right questions, if you ask powerful questions. But just as a baseline, know that that's the way you can take all the pressure off you as far as what you actually have to say, and just ask quality questions. The quality of your questions will determine the quality of your life and the answers that you actually receive. So that's your number one tool in navigating these conversations. And if you can do that by starting the conversation off with some level of familiarity, as if it's a friend that they just picked up the phone with, a familiar conversation, and have confidence all throughout the conversation as far as how you carry yourself, as well as your tonality, and ask powerful questions to navigate the conversation in the direction you want it to go, collect the information you need in the process, and ultimately set forth what the next steps will be when somebody is at a point where you can help them with a next step forward towards the direction that they told you they want to go. So those are the 3 tips I have for you in phone prospecting. And I firmly believe if you apply any of these 3 things that you are lacking at this point, it's going to help you to sharpen up your dialogues and to have more success on the phone with all these conversations you're having. If you're not already having a lot of conversations, there's a bonus tip. Have a lot of conversations. You gotta go speak with more people. The only way that this is gonna happen is if you go and make it happen. It's up to you to put yourself in front of people and be the solution to what it is that somebody could possibly need when they're ready to take a next step forward in real estate. It's up to you to actually be on the phone with them when that time comes. So make sure you're following up, make sure you're doing what you need to do to be in front of people when the week comes, when the day comes that they're gonna have a conversation with someone about buying or selling real estate. So I hope that helps. If it did, do this. Hit the subscribe button, because this is the tip of the iceberg as far as what I can actually do to help you sell more real estate, build and scale your business. And I'm here for those who want to do one of those 2 things, if not both of those 2 things. And that being said, if there's anything I can do beyond what I covered in this video to potentially help you sell more real estate and build your income in life in the process, I welcome you to send me an email. You'll find that in the description below, along with some other helpful resources. And all that being said, thank you so much for watching the video. Until next time, I'll look forward to seeing you on the next video.